No, we're good.
You're good? Okay.
Good afternoon again, everyone. I want to thank you all for joining us here at Public Safety Headquarters. I also want to thank our Chief Operating Officer of the city, Lisa Benjamin, for being here, and our Fire Chief, Rod Smith of Atlanta Fire Rescue. Many of you are aware that a few days ago, an effort was made to gather individuals from across the country to come here to Atlanta, Georgia, not only to protest against the Public Safety Training Center that is being constructed, but actually stop the construction of that facility. When the intent was made known for a physical confrontation and entry upon that site, the city's administration reached out to protest organizers in an attempt to provide guidelines of what peaceful protest is and what could be occurring here safely in the city and the region. Those invitations were declined by the organizers. And as we got closer to the event, it became apparent that there was likely to be an aggressive and an illegal effort to enter onto the site to stop construction, an effort that would put people at risk, both individuals involved in that action and first responders. And I want to acknowledge our partners that have joined us, the Georgia State Patrol, Department of Natural Resources, the DeKalb County Police Department, Sheriff's Departments from Fulton, Henry, Clayton, and Cobb, as well as the Sandy Springs Police Department for joining us in that space. I may have missed a couple. We want to make sure everyone stays safe. We want to make sure that when you exercise your right of protest here in Atlanta, Georgia, you have the full protection of this police department. You do so safely and responsibly. What we can't tolerate is lawlessness, putting individuals at risk, and also trying to undermine the ability of this police department and this fire department to properly protect everyone that calls Atlanta, Georgia home, and everyone that comes here to visit. As the crowd began to gather today, a few things became apparent. While some may have been assembled in the park for peaceful protest to make sure their voices was heard, a number of things started occurring that was very concerning. We saw shields being deployed in the crowd. We saw makeshift weapons being brought forth, bolt cutters. We saw individuals putting on gas masks. We saw individuals donning plastic coverings across their body. We saw individuals doing things that we knew were indicative of professional protesters and anarchists that they do prior to encountering police efforts to disperse an unruly crowd, a dangerous crowd. And we knew these individuals were likely anticipating that law enforcement would be forced to use chemical agents to disperse a crowd that was posing a danger to the site, individuals that was gathering. As those individuals came closer, our partners at the DeKalb County Police Department attempted to disperse and to de-escalate, making it aware that if you proceeded beyond this point, law enforcement action would be taken. And if you watch closely the video, the opportunity to turn around and return to the park was not taken. In fact, individuals became very aggressive. The point of that assembly became pointed. The banners that were being carried to portray a message suddenly were being used against law enforcement that was there just to keep order in a community. Officers of a law enforcement agency were suddenly confronted by individuals pushing through them, pushing against the officers, not turning around and moving forward. And officers of that agency did use chemical agents to disperse the crowd. Momentarily, they surrounded a fire station, which impacted the ability of that fire station to respond. Individuals of that community could not move freely through their own streets and side streets, and a school in close proximity was put under lockdown because people were afraid of what was transpiring in their backyard. We are an agency that has historically and continues to do so daily protect the right to assemble and a right of free speech. But we cannot, and think about this, ladies and gentlemen, every time we gather together to talk about damage to property, fires, and actions of aggression around the Public Safety Training Center is only after groups have called themselves together from across this country to come to Atlanta, Georgia. Individuals we are countering and detaining and arresting are from Illinois, they're from California, they are from Oklahoma, they are from Washington State, they are from Texas, These are individuals that the only time they're able to call us together as media and as political leaders is when they've called individuals in from the outside, not to protest, but to do violent action. I want to point you, if I can, just a few of the items that were brought today. We have bolt cutters that can only been used and planned to enter onto the site. We have gas masks that were being put on before individuals even left the park. We have an array of tools that is behind our fire chief that are constructed and designed to be used as weapons against law enforcement, construction workers, as well as breaching equipment right here at the public safety training site. And again, thank our members of the law enforcement community that joined us today. I am proud to note that the citizens who are watching your report right now, wondering will their public safety be impacted because we don't have a training center? The answer is no. Today, the site remained intact, construction continued, and we are on track. And I want Atlantans to know, and I want every visitor of our city to know that we are going to be prepared to protect you when you call upon us. And that individuals who do not call Atlanta home, individuals that have an agenda and a motivation far beyond green space uses and the training of police will not allow us to be less prepared to come and protect you. And I want those that are thinking that they're going to continue to impact the safety of Atlantans and our visitors to know that we are committed. We have a strong coalition across many different jurisdictions, across political boundaries, that understand our role is to protect the public through proper fire and police training and capabilities, and we are committed to that. Citizens of Atlanta should be reassured, and those that will continue to do harm in our region are put on notice that we will continue to stop you if you attempt to impact the safety of our citizens. Madam CEO, I don't know if you have any comments today, or Fire Chief, before we open it up to questions today. Okay. Any questions that I can take from those that are here today?
Really quick, are you expecting more protests later on tonight?
You know, this is a group that has shown that they're willing to set police cars on fire, burn police vehicles, firebomb a youth center. And so I can never put anything beyond their scope or ability, but we're prepared. We're maintaining resources here in the city. We're maintaining resources across the region that will be prepared to respond if individuals still commit themselves to a path of violence.
Now, reporters on the scene have mentioned that the protesters seem very adamant that they're going to continue protesting throughout this entire process, not just today, but for weeks and months, even when the thing is built. What is the long-term plan? Because can we realistically deal with people constantly trying to break in, cause damage, things like that?
Absolutely. Here's the long-term plan. We're going to protect the citizens of Atlanta, Georgia. They're going to have the best trained fire and police department that we can provide to them. Individuals that say they're going to burn it, and we heard the chants yesterday, if you build it, you will burn it. We're going to address that. We got to remember, those that show up in a park to hear speeches was much larger than the group that went to the street. So the group that is willing to do violence is small, and we certainly have the capacity to deal with those individuals properly through the court systems. And I want the judges to know, Fulton and DeKalb County, you are the conservators of the peace in our two counties. We will be putting individuals in your courtroom. We do have probable cause for them, and we need them to do their role to make sure we keep this region safe.
And forgive me, were any arrests made today?
I believe there was an arrest by the DeKalb County Police Department today. That agency can provide that.
This is for Chief Smith on the other big incident that was going on this weekend, the fire at La Vista. Have your investigators now had a chance to look to see if there were any issues on previous inspections, any issues with code violations, residents on scene having concerns about things like fire sprinklers? Where are you at with that investigation?
I would respectfully ask that we stay on topic. However, I'm willing to discuss this with you afterwards. It is still ongoing, the investigation, and we're still compiling all of the records to try to determine what we're dealing with on that scene.
Chief Bumpy,
I'll be right back to you, Second. All right.
can you give us an update on construction? How is that going? You mentioned to me a couple of months ago that you expect to move in December 2024 to the facility once it's built. Can you give us an update on construction?
Yes, we're still moving along on schedule. We're very proud of the progress we're making. I hope Atlantans are looking at this and they're excited as well. I know the members of the fire and the police department are, so we're still on track. And we want to thank everyone that is across all 245 neighborhoods of our city that is supporting it.
Was anyone able to gain access to the site? We saw some reports that maybe 8 people actually were able to get on the site, potentially chain themselves to construction equipment today.
Yeah, absolutely false. And so I encourage you, as reporters, that is incorrect information. And so as people are willing to do this against their first responders and an infrastructure so important to the city, they're willing to spread misinformation. The site was never breached today. There is no equipment on the site with 8 individuals chained to it. And so I hope that we take note of that and we report that properly.
Did they ever attack with any of those, for lack of a better term, spades?
We were fortunate, sir, today that they were not able to reach the site. They were not able to use these for their intended purpose.
But they weren't able to get, they didn't confront any of the officers at all?
No, sir, that the assemblage was stopped before it reached that point.
Chief, there are pictures of protesters using a spade just like that to plant trees. How do you know their intent was to do violence?
Certainly. Well, I will ask your viewers and readers to look at that. I think we've all planted a tree or a shrub or two. That is not what you use to plant a tree or shrub. You can go buy that right now at Home Depot, at Ace Hardware, right now. These are hewn from sticks. They have edges that have been sharpened in a manner. They have a number of things that are easily convertible. I would expect, if I were running an Antipal operation, that I too would put out a video of me planting a tree with that spade, that device.
Right here of them
Right.
using exactly what looks like that to plant a tree.
Right,
That
sir.
I personally shot today as they were leaving the facility. They wanted to plant a tree on the side of the training center. So that's how they would respond.
Right. A tree, sir. Look how many are here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a group that has the best interest of Atlanta at heart. This is a group today that left Gresham Park prepared to breach the site, prepared to do harm, prepared to do destruction. This is not what you plant a tree with, sir. Every one of your viewers know that. Go to Ace Hardware. If you find one like that is constructed like that, please let me know. This had multiple uses, and it is imperative for them to portray the vistas of peacefulness until they can get to the site. But they played their hand very early today because they were putting on gas masks, sir, carrying these. So if you plant a tree with a gas mask, come back and tell me about it, okay? And
Have you
I'll say
seen these
that.
before? Have other law enforcement seen these used before? I've never seen something like this before. I certainly wouldn't bring it to plant a tree, but have you seen it in confrontations with police before?
What we see is devices that are supposed to be peaceful, that are quickly used for violence and destruction. So we are sharing this information with our law enforcement agencies. So we know the ability to have it to appear to be one thing, like planting a tree, and then when you get to the site, it uses a breaching tool is quite common. And so I think we saw that here in the region today.
Chief, can you elaborate how these items were collected? You said there were no arrests made. Were they found? Were they taken from protesters?
They were discarded quickly. So when law enforcement stopped the march, and some of you may have seen this actually on your own video, a number of umbrellas were discarded. These items were discarded. They quickly, if you notice, went into the woods and then came back out of the woods. And so items that they had been carrying and concealing were left behind, and we recovered them then. And then things as, we were talking about a shovel-appearing device, things as simple as an umbrella are an earmark of violent protest in many places in the country. Those umbrellas are used to deflect chemical agents, and they are used to prod through police shields that may be carried. So we see a number of devices that would appear innocent on the forefront that are actually used in a very aggressive and violent manner.
Chief, today during the protest, there was a lot of police vehicles through the state patrol, the Capitol Police, there at the scene. Can the residents that live there expect this to be a constant thing that they have to deal with? Because there was a lot of truck drivers there in that area of Constitution Road waiting to get to work, waiting to get out, and they couldn't because it was blocked up by police.
You know what, I've heard from those residents too that want Antifa to leave. We want Antifa to leave. And as soon as we craft the responses that are underway and they come to their full fulfillment, Antifa will leave. And when Antifa leaves, you'll see a drop of the need to have the police in that area. But I can tell you what, those citizens will call 911 at some point in their lives, and they need a properly staffed and trained fire and police coming to them.
Chief,
One more
are
question.
you worried that you gave them the video they were looking for today?
I don't think we're giving them the video, sir. Their effort is to make sure the governmental structure of this region is impacted in a way that is negative. And
That they wanted to provoke a response that they could characterize as violent?
But, they're the ones that breached the police line, sir. They were given every opportunity to turn around. You all saw it, every opportunity to turn around. And so they made a decision to do something that they knew. And keep in mind, they knew when they left the park there was likely to be the image that is being seen on the AJC right now in your channels. The reason we know that, they left with these, they wore these, and when was the last time did you plant a tree wearing a rubber suit? Because you knew that the police were likely going to be put in a situation that they were going to keep the citizens of that community safe. There would be chemical agents. If the police were going to stop the destruction of public property necessary for us to protect the public, there were likely to be chemical agents. And if they were going to put the police in harm, they're likely to become our agents. You bring these because you know that you are going to craft that action and prompt that action from law enforcement. We're here to keep the community safe.